So Dragon Age Veilguard is finally here, and literally everyone is shit talking, hating on it. And I just wanted to leave my own 2 cents on what I think about it as someone who's played all of the Dragon Age games back in the day. So I made some bullet points here to just quickly discuss, not super in depth or anything, but my initial thoughts about after, what is it now, 10, 15 hours of playing the game. And I'll be honest, I'm not gonna say I love the game either, but I also don't think it's quite as bad as a lot of the snippets and reviews I've seen talk about it. It's decent. It's not Dragon Age Origins, the second coming, but it's not as bad as some people are saying. So bam, I'll just get right into what I think is probably the best part of the game so far. Which surprisingly is actually the combat. The combat is quite fun. It's fast and there's a lot of combos and control that you can have together with your companions or just your own build. Items actually seem to do a lot for what you can do, and there's a big skill tree to customize what build you want to go for after you've selected your class and such. It's actually quite fun and fast paced and interactive. Yeah, so far the combat's the most fun part by far, surprisingly. It is sort of real time with pause, as it were, like in a CRPG or something. You pull up your big wheel of skills and you can issue commands to your companions and use your own. There's also quick buttons for everything, but you can pause if you so wish. And it's interesting. You cannot control your companions in this one at all. I don't know why they went that way, but the companions don't use the classes that you can pick on character selection, so I'm guessing that that's why. I don't super mind it personally. I never control the companions myself in the other games. I just, I want to play as my character in these third person type of games. Feels way more immersive that way. So yeah, the combat gets my thumbs up. It's actually quite fun to do. Anyway, moving on. I think I'll do these bullet points in like descending order from best to worst, and that was the best one. Pretty fun. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't love the game either, but onwards to exploration, which after you've done your story missions and such, a lot of the areas open up to be explored to find upgrade materials and side quests, and you can use your companion's abilities to interact with the area and such. One can summon a platform, one can activate lifts, and so on, so on. It's fairly, standard open worldy stuff, but I think it's pretty fun, to mix up with the more serious story stuff. And then we have the graphics and animations. Some of the animations are rough. It's not like, it's not Mass Effect Andromeda. We're not going there, but yeah, it's nothing super fun either. I think graphically though, the world is quite beautiful. I was kind of struck by how in depth the characters' faces look in the character creator. Yeah, you know, it's very passable, if nothing else. Now, moving on to more of the story elements and dialogue and such, we're getting into the worst territories here, I'll be honest. They kind of blend together, the bullet points at this point here, so bear with me, I might be a bit rambly. But what's happened with a lot of the dialogue and quotation mark choices you have, they're fake. they're just fake, sadly. And that it sucks. That's not what I want in my RPG. I want player interaction and be able to choose a lot of things. So in other words, it's very railroaded. The story so far, at least. Hopefully I'm not super far in, but it's very railroady at this point. There's the only dialogues you have seem to be flavor. A couple of characters reacted to, "Oh, you said this earlier," and there's a bit of flavor text, but eventually it doesn't amount to anything other than that. So, you know, uh, and then just a lot of dialogue is just super awkward and weird. I think it's the third companion you get. She's like a fade researcher mage type of character, and she's just weird. I don't know. People don't talk like she talks. It's like, I don't know. It's super awkward dialogue. I was like instantly, oh, I've heard her say like 5 lines. I fucking hate her already. I can't stand listening to her. People don't talk like this. It's just, ugh. And then the story itself, what I've played so far, like it's not a lot there, like I said, but it's basically the introduction and I think 2 or 3 main missions at this point. And like I said, the railroady part really ruins my immersion personally. Like, slight spoiler for the intro then. Solas, the big bad from the last game, it starts with you trying to stop him, and your characters arguing when he's doing a big ritual, and one of them being like, "Oh, I'll just talk to him and stop him," and everyone, a couple of other characters like, "Oh no, just shoot him, fuck him. The world's gonna end if he goes through with this. It's just one guy, shoot him now while we have a chance." But no, one character just has to talk to him, but because otherwise the whole game wouldn't happen right if you just shot him in the back there at start. So go figure. And what's really annoying about this, you can actually be like, oh yeah, maybe we should just shoot him. You can agree there. But then later on, your character's like, oh no, we shouldn't have attacked him. Oh, I feel so bad. We shouldn't have done this. Which really, really ruins immersion for me in an RPG. I didn't pick that. My character's just straight talking against what I picked earlier. Like, but at the same times, in one of the slightly later missions, you come across this small hamlet and or village that's been completely overrun by the blight, from the earlier games. And holy shit, it's really cool in this game. It looks like eldritch horror kind of thing almost. It's just completely overrun the village with red pustules that are glowing and pathways everywhere, and just it's really cool. Maybe that's not even story, it's just very, very cool visuals. And the story there's fine, nothing special. Village sacrifice, greedy person, yada yada yada. But you actually get the option to, if you want to punish the one responsible for it at the end. And a couple of characters like, no, we should just forgive. Meanwhile, me and the other character is like, nah, dude, screw this guy. And I actually get to go through it there. So I don't know if that's gonna have any implication later. Who knows? But that was actually pretty cool. And then there's the darkspawn, which I've met a couple of so far. They introduced very early here in this game as well, and I don't know. on the stream, I literally was like, "Oh, what's this? Some zombie kind of thing?" Unless they've massively redesigned the darkspawn, but they wouldn't, right? And then just like a second or two later, come in and it's like, oh no, darkspawn. I was like, oh, okay then. What have they done with the darkspawn? Why did they look like this? They look like goofy clown zombies. I don't know, super weird. Yeah, but to kind of compare it to my experience, just so far, how I would rank it to the early games, it's at the bottom. I'd say the only games that's actually lower on it would be the second game. I don't fancy the second game. Origin best, Inquisition, this, and then the Dragon Age 2 would be the order currently. That could change. There could be even more shitty dialogue on its way, but that was the same thing. The second game was also very railroady, and so far I like the combat way more in this, so it's way outweighing that so far. To summarize, should you play this game? I personally went into this as the outlook of, this isn't really a Dragon Age game anymore. Old bioware doesn't really exist anymore. It's just a name at this point to carry some cred around in the scene. But, there is some references here and there, obviously. They're trying to throw in the fanfare to keep people hooked. They were like me, that played the ones originally when they came out. I played so much of Origins. I have so many hours in that game. I love that game. Have not played in a few years, but that's besides the point. I'm looking at this as kind of a new RPG and kind of ignoring the IP a little bit. And you know, I'd say if you are just into combat and that can carry it for you, and don't think too much about the story, sadly, it's fun. It's pretty fun so far. I like how customizable the skill trees and combat and combos and how active it is. So if you're fine with just sticking around for that so far, I can say that yeah, no, I'd say it's not a bad time. So in short, I kind of think people are overreacting. I don't know. You guys remember what BioWare's been up to for a while, right? Anthem was a total shit show. Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda was, it was like a 6 out of 10 at best. I'd say. Real disappointment after the trilogy was so good. So, you know, uh, and when I say a 6 out of 10, by the way, I mean that as a 5 is a whatever, it was fine. Not a anything below a 9 is trash that a lot of people give, a lot of review people give these days. But that's an entire different can of worms I'm not going to go into. But in short, yes, I'd say it's not a bad time if you enjoy the combat like I do. Give it a shot if that's your cup of tea. And I'll just finish up with if you actually listened to my rambling this entire time, thank you so much. This is my first kind of proper long video. I've just uploaded shorts before. And if you at all care to hear me ramble more, please do give me a look over on my live stream on Twitch or just subscribe here, either or. I'd be very appreciative too, as someone new trying to make it over here. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good one.